Thank you for coming. I may have to call upon somebody to help me because my voice is kind of weak, I guess, from allergies or something, or who knows. We're going to talk about Lord Balarama and just who and what he is. What does he represent? What's this all about? You ever wonder about that? When you were first becoming a devotee and you heard about Balarama,
It's fascinating.
it's kind of, it's like, wait a minute, let me stop and put this together. How does this work? So, everything that we learn about God, when we get closer to more and more knowledge, actual knowledge of God, we learn how personal he is. Why, everything has a personality. The earth has a personality. Everything has a personality. So, to understand that we have a thinking, willing, feeling, supreme personality of Godhead is a little bit of a change in most of our philosophy, isn't it, when we first hear that? I mean, when I first heard that, it took me a while. I'm thinking, what is this, a fairy tale? You're putting people into the unknown? Because when I was growing up, going to church, I was one of those kids that they didn't like to have in Sunday school because I had a million questions. Well, if that's true, then what about this? So I had a lot of questions about God. The more I heard about him, the more curious I got. So I started asking these questions. And every so often they would say, look, there's just some things that God doesn't want us to know, which was their way of nicely saying, shut up. So the picture that was painted for me of God, and probably with many of you as well, was that, you've got us, you've got some saintly persons that write books, and they become part of the Bible. Then you've got Jesus, and then you've got his Father. We don't know where that guy is. I mean, how much information do they give us about God? What does he like to do? No resume. What did he do before? How did he become God? What did he do before, What is he like? The only thing I learned is that you better be careful because he's got a temper. And so, okay. So as we learn more and more about Krishna, we realize that he is the supreme personality. So, of this supreme personality of Godhead, his personality is expanded first into Lord Balarama. So we can see when we look at Krishna, well, gee whiz, there's a lot about him. He's pretty much just like us, isn't he? Well, he's in love. He has friends. He doesn't need anything. God is the complete whole, that from which everything emanates. That means he has everything. He's not looking for anything. He's not needy. He's not thinking, oh, I need this, right? No, it just is there. So we're a lot like him because, I don't know, does everybody here have a big brother? Does everybody here have you ever wanted a big brother? When you're at school and the bullies are picking on you, it's kind of nice to have a big brother, isn't it? Big brother comes in and says, all right, stop it. And so here is Krishna. He wants to have a big brother. So the first expansion from Krishna is Balarama, his big brother. He's just like us. I want a big brother. I want a big brother that is so powerful that he can protect me. He'll look after me. And we'll be buddies. We'll do everything. We'll go everywhere. Not that everybody has that good a relationship with their brother. Your brother's older than you, isn't he?
Yeah.
So he's like your Balarama, isn't he?
We're close. We make my brother really close.
You see what I mean? I didn't have a close brother. I had a younger brother, stepbrother, but we were never that close. So, I mean, I can understand Krishna's feeling. Big brother. I want a big brother. Ding! There he is. So, let's make this kind of a joint discussion and all of us share our realizations or questions about this Balarama. What is he and Krishna up to? We should be interested. How do they think? Why do you think? One of the reasons that Krishna does things is to give you an example to follow. He demonstrates. We're part and parcel of Krishna. And so what makes him happy will make us happy. We're just like him. We share this. And so if you have any questions, or a discussion, just stop me at almost any time. I always say, stop me at any time. You know I'm lying through my teeth, don't you? I'm going to ignore you if I don't want to. But it's a polite thing to say. Stop me at any time with questions. And then when you've got your hand up, not yet. Jeez.
I knew that was coming.
How can I help you? How can I serve you?
There's one pastime where Lord Ram was the older brother of Lakshman, and so Lakshman was very upset with Ram because Ram was making what Lakshman thought were stupid decisions. So Lakshman said, "My next incarnation, I'm coming as the big brother."
Yeah. And he did it. He lived up to it, didn't he? And then he did it again with Lord Jivananda. He was tired of being the young Baba. No. I think Balarama was the first one to start that expression. I can't get any respect. I tell you, I don't get any respect. You know, Krishna's always older than me. So, I'm going to read something that I've had for I don't know how many years, and I've tweaked it here and there through the years. So, but it's still there. It's one of the things that I had on an old stick drive, and so it's one of the few things I can get that I don't have to depend on my computer, which is in very expert hands and will be fixed very soon. So, I'm going to read. Stop me at any time with questions. Oh, Keshava, oh Lord of the universe, oh Lord Hari, who has assumed the form of Lord Balaram, the wielder of the plow. All glories to you on your brilliant white body. You wear garments the color of a fresh blue rain cloud. These garments are the color of the river Yamuna, who feels great fear due to the striking of your plowshare. So, it's always a wonderful picture to think of Lord Balaram. He's so beautiful. He's got that crystal complexion and the blue garments that he wears. And he's everything you'd want in a big brother. You know, he's macho, protective. He's always looking out for Krishna, like a big brother would do, always concerned about Krishna. And so, and his dhoti is the color of the Jamuna. So we all know that story, I guess. The Jamuna River Lord Balaram wanted to frolic in the Jivananda River with his cowherd girlfriends. And so he wanted the river. Come here. This is Balaram. Hey, come here. So Mother Yamuna said, no, you come here. So Balaram just takes his plow and he drags the Yamuna to the spot where he wanted to frolic. And so this is Balaram. You can see similar personality in Lord Balaram as you can in Lord Nityananda, can't you? Very, very, the same guy. So, all glories to Ramgat, where Lord Balaram performed his Ras dance. All glories to Lord Balaram, the son of Rohini. All glories to the residents of Vrindavan. When you go to Vrindavan, one thing you have to remember, well, in Mayapur too, you have to remember these residents here are not just ordinary people. The Damvasis are different, although we may have a tendency to see them as ordinary people. They get on our nerves sometimes because, you know, the rickshaw driver wants too much. You know, how much to Loy Bazaar? 100 rupees. No, it's only 40. You know, so you get annoyed with them. But you have to remember, this is a pure resident of Vrindavan. They took their birth there. I remember there was this old beggar sitting in the street, a very emaciated, yogi-looking fellow with his hair all knotted up, long knotted beard. And he's sitting in not a very clean place. And as I walked by, he was sitting there with his eyes closed. And just as I walked by, all of a sudden he went. It's kind of weird. Made me go like, huh? So he's looking at me. And I thought, let me engage him. So I said, how are you today? And that was in Bengal. I would have said, Kamanachi. But I don't know how they say it in Uttar Pradesh. I can't remember in Hindi. How do you say, how are you today? So I said, how are you today? And he suddenly looked like he went off into a daze. And he said, he didn't look that happy when I walked up. But then he got this bright look on his face. And he said, this morning I woke up in Vrindavan. My life is perfect. You know, he didn't have anything. He was going to have to go beg from shop to shop to get a few pennies here and there to get something to eat. But he was ecstatic because he's a Damvasi. He's a Brijvasi. He lives there. He was born there. So, all glories to the residents of Vrindavan. We have to repeatedly say that, don't we? They're a little bit more annoying in Vrindavan than they are in Mayapur, aren't they? Powerful Lord Balaram is 16 years old, full of the luster of youth, and has a fair complexion and the color of crystal. Balaram wears blue garments and a garland of forest flowers. Balaram's handsome hair is tied in a graceful topknot. Splendid earrings adorn Balaram's ears. Sri Baladev's neck is splendidly decorated with garlands of flowers and strings of jewels. Splendid armlets and bracelets ornament Doji's graceful and very strong arms. Balaram's feet are decorated with splendid jeweled anklets. Sri Baladev is Krishna's dearest friend. Baladev is a great reservoir of the nectar of mellows of many kinds of transcendental pastimes. Lord Balaram, as we get to know him, he exists just to give pleasure to Krishna and protection. Now we know Krishna's God. Who needs protection less than Krishna? He doesn't need any protection. Because of the love of Balaram, He feels it's my duty to protect my little brother. It's my duty. He doesn't think, he knows Krishna is really powerful. He knows Krishna is the most powerful. But yet I've got to protect my little brother. I've got to look out for him. So it's this whole relationship between Krishna and Balarama is very sweet, very heartwarming. Lord Balaram's beauty is enhanced by the earrings touching his cheeks. Balaram's face is decorated with tilak made from musk, and Balaram's broad chest is ornamented with a garland of kunja. Sri Baladev's complexion is as white as an autumn cloud, and he wears blue garments. Balaram's voice is very grave, and his arms are very long, touching his thighs. The splendor of Lord Balaram's transcendental form eclipses many millions of glistening rising moons, and the slightest scent of his boundless strength is sufficient to destroy many armies of demons. Although he knows the supernatural power of his younger brother, Krishna, still, out of love for him, Balaram never leaves Krishna alone in the forest, even for a moment. I offer my prayers to Lord Balaram, the enemy of Dhenukasura. That was a mean demon. Does everybody know the story of Dhenukasura? Why don't you narrate it briefly?
Krishna was with his coward friends, and this was actually the day of Gopastami. Many people don't know that this pastime took place in the day of Gopastami, which is the day that Krishna officially took control of the cows, because beforehand Krishna was taking care of the calves. So then Krishna
and Balaram both.
Yeah. So Krishna and Balaram were now going out to tend the cows and no longer the calves. And so there's various forests in Vrindavan. One of those forests is called Talavant, where there's tall fruit palm trees. These palm trees have these fruits called tall fruits. And they're actually, Dinabandhu Prabhu says they're kind of stringy, but the boys wanted to eat them. And so the boys in Vrindavan, they were very, very anxious to eat these tall fruits. And so they approached Krishna and Balaram and they said, "My dear Krishna and Balaram, please engage me, or please, it's not mine, please engage me in your service. My dear Krishna and Balaram, please, we would love to enjoy these beautiful tall fruits. And there's a great demon in the form of an ass named Dhenukasura at this place. And so they kill anybody who goes there, and all the residents of Vrindavan are terrified to go. And the demon and his ass associates are enjoying these fruits. So Krishna and Balaram fearlessly said, "We will go." And so they went to this Talavan forest, and Dhenukasura approached them as they were beginning to take the tall fruits. But Dhenukasura he was born in the family of Prahlad Maharaj. So Krishna promised that, "I will not kill any of the descendants of Prahlad Maharaj." But Balaram did not make such a promise. So Dhenukasura attacked Lord Balaram, and so what does an ass do when it's going to attack it? It sticks its ass at you. So that's a big offense in the Vedic culture, to stick your back toward a great personality, especially the Supreme Personality of God. And he kicked Lord Balaram's chest, but there was no effect. And so Lord Balaram grabbed him by the legs and swung him around, and just by the centrifugal force, the demon lost his life. And so then Lord Balaram flung him into the palm trees, and then all the trees fell down like dominoes, and all these fruits came out. And the cowherd boys happily enjoyed the fruits. And then there's one more aspect of the pastime, is that Lord Balaram is the original guru. And so all the demons in Vrindavan represent certain anarthas in our heart. And so although chanting Hare Krishna is very powerful, there are certain things we need the guru to destroy. Only the guru can destroy these demons. And so Dhenukasura represents the ass-like mentality to enjoy the material energy and to lord over the material energy. So Lord Balaram, the original guru, he slays that demon. And so the guru also slays that demon in the form of a spiritual master.
Good. Well done. Yeah, this, what are the 4 kinds of foodstuffs?
Chewed.
Those foods that are licked, chewed, drunk, and sucked. So these tall fruits are in that category of fruits, things that you suck. You don't really, they're stringy,
Yeah, I never tried one.
you know. So in other words, it's not like eating an apple or a mango. It's stringy. So you bite it and you suck the juice out of it. You know, like I remember Srila Prabhupada when he would eat an orange. He would put a piece of orange in his mouth and he would move it around and suck it. And then he would spit it out, you know, because that pulp that's left is not digestible. And so Tamal Krishna Maharaj told me the story one time. He's sitting there in front of Prabhupada, and somebody had given Prabhupada a bowl of fruit. And so Prabhupada picked up an orange as he was talking with his close men, and without thinking, he just quickly peeled the orange, and he popped a wedge of the orange into his mouth, and began to suck it, you know. And then all of these big leaders are sitting around him, the biggest, most powerful men in ISKCON. And then so Prabhupada looked at each one of them as he's sucking that piece of orange. And then he spit it out right in front of him, because he had sucked all the juice out of it. And here's like 6 of the most powerful men in ISKCON, diving like children, butting their heads to get that, and fighting over it. So there's 6 grown men rolling around on the floor fighting for a piece of this little bit. And Prabhupada is chuckling. Like, so, I haven't thought of that story in a long time. Prabhupada said Brahmananda and him, their heads went bang, because they're diving, and Brahmananda's like twice the size of Tamal Krishna, so it pushed him back, you know, bounced off his head. It was like, wow, but he kept fighting for it. So the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is the fountainhead of all incarnations. Lord Balarama is his second body. They are both one and the same identity. They differ only in form. He is the first bodily expansion of Krishna, and he assists in Lord Krishna's transcendental pastimes. That original Lord Krishna appeared in Navadvip as Lord Chaitanya, and Balaram appeared with him as Lord Nityananda. May Sri Nityananda Ram be the object of my constant remembrance. Sankarshan, Seshanag, and the Vishnus, who lie on the Karan ocean, Garbhak ocean, and ocean of milk, are his plenary portions, and the portions of his plenary portions. Lord Balaram is the original Sankarshan. He assumes 5 other forms to serve Lord Krishna. He himself helps in the pastimes of Lord Krishna, and he does the work of creation in 4 other forms. He executes the orders of Lord Krishna in the work of creation, and in the form of Lord Sesha, he serves Krishna in various ways. In all the forms, he tastes the transcendental bliss of serving Krishna. That same Balaram is Lord Nityananda, a companion of Lord Gaurasundar. So we have to understand, if we meditate on this, Lord Balaram is an expansion of Krishna. He is Krishna, and yet he's not. Achintya Beta Beta Tattva. So Srimati Radharani is an expansion of Krishna. It's the same energy. It says in the Vedas that Krishna and Radharani are the same soul, different bodies, and yet different personalities. Different personalities. So what are you? Where do you fit in? We, the living entities, we are part and parcel of Krishna. We're also expansions of Krishna. We're not Krishna. We're not on the level of Radharani or Balaram, but we are that energy of Krishna. You see? So we are, and yet we're not God. Everything, this is God. Everything comes from God. He's the source of everything. So are you. If you had a beginning, if you had a time when you came into being, which Krishna says you didn't, then you would have come from Krishna. You're part of Krishna. You're part of Krishna's energy, and there never was there a time when that wasn't true. There was no beginning to this relationship of Lord Balaram's with Krishna, or you with Krishna. There's no beginning to the relationship of Radha and Krishna. But Krishna is so amazing that even though he and Radha have always been together, Krishna never misses out on anything. What about that first meeting? You know, when two people fall in love, love at first sight. Did Krishna, because Radharani has always been, did they miss out on that moment where they recognized each other and fell in love? Huh?
It's eternally happening.
It's eternally happening. Yeah, so there was a time, although they've always been Radha and Krishna, but there was a time when they first met. And at that moment is always going on. So Krishna, because, you know, he's God. He gets it all. He's not missing on anything. You see? He's got his big brother. He's got Radharani. He's got all of you. He's got the cowherd boys and girls. So we can easily see, if we analyze this Krishna, what is he all about? Why, he's all about being somebody's hero. Isn't it? I mean, look all through the 10th canto. Look at the numbers of demons that Krishna slays. These demons were empowered by Krishna. They were empowered by Krishna to come and make trouble. And then Krishna comes in. Here I come to save the day. You know, he is your hero. He likes being your hero. He's the hero of all heroes. And yet, he wants a hero too. Why should you have a hero and I don't have a hero? You've got me, I've got Balarama. I've got my big brother. You look up to my big brother. You know, and we see the deities of Krishna Balaram, and we see Lord Balaram's always got his hand on Krishna's shoulder. You ever notice? So then one time Prabhupada said, TKG and others that had a lot of association with Prabhupada, said that Prabhupada, when it got a little quiet, he liked to, Jai Krishna Balaram. See, Balaram's got his hand. So Prabhupada liked to spring questions for fun. So all of a sudden, in a quiet moment with a few of his disciples, Prabhupada said, who knows? Who can answer me this? Who is stronger, Krishna or Balarama? So what do you think?
Krishna.
Who? Anybody else?
Both.
Krishna is stronger.
Radha.
We're not supposed to.
That's true. That's quite true.
Different rasa.
Yeah, Prabhupada said, they made so many arguments. Well, I think it's Balaram. I think it's this. So Prabhupada said, no, Krishna is stronger. You can see Balaram is leaning on Krishna. So, yes, Balaram, he seems to be the most powerful. He's the big brother. But Krishna is still Krishna. He's still the supreme. And yet Balaram is too. So, Sri Baladev is the personality of Godhead himself. He is equal in supremacy to the Supreme Godhead, yet wherever Krishna appears, Sri Baladev appears as Krishna's brother, sometimes elder, sometimes younger. In his Vaibhav Paksha feature, Lord Krishna manifests himself as Balaram. The Balaram feature is as good as Krishna himself, the only difference being that the bodily hue of Krishna is dark and that of Balaram is fair. These two lords, Krishna and Balaram, are each the seed and the womb of the universe, the creator and his creative potency. They enter the hearts of living beings and control their conditioned awareness. They are primeval supreme. Yogamaya transferred Anantasesh, Balaram, from the womb of Devaki to the womb of Rohini. 7 months later, during the most auspicious moment in Shravan month, Rohini, just like a lioness, gave birth to Lord Balaram, feeling all happiness. His complexion was like a white lotus flower, and he looked like the full moon. His eyes were brilliant like lightning flashes, and his hair was the color of a new cloud, yet brilliant like the sun. Such extraordinary beauty prevailed because he was none other than Lord Sankarshan. Astrologers said that he would have long arms and kill Pralambasura, that he would have a younger brother and kill many other demons. They said he is Dhanupal, the protector of cows and the killer of Dhanekasura. The Brahmins under Vasudev's order performed the Jatakarma Samskara ceremony. Though he was extremely beautiful, everyone was extremely anxious because he was mute and inactive. When Lord Balaram first appeared, he couldn't move. Didn't make any sound, he didn't speak. He was like paralyzed or something. So the Brahman under Vasudev's order performed the Jatakarma Samskara ceremony. Though he was extremely beautiful, everyone was extremely anxious because he was mute and inactive. No one could get him to make a sound or move. Once, when Mother Yashoda was pregnant with Krishna, she picked him up and carefully placed him on her lap next to her heart where Krishna was residing. Balaram immediately began to laugh and play like a blissful child. When Yashoda would set him down again, he would become inactive. He remained in this condition until the appearance of his younger brother, Krishna. I have no reason to exist except to serve my brother. And until he comes, I have nothing. I have no contribution. There's no need for me to be active. When Krishna comes, I will be active. In his childhood, let's talk about that. During their formative years, Sri Balaram and his younger brother Sri Krishna played and acted just like normal cowherd boys, except for the events brought about by the unkind acts of certain demons. These extraordinary activities were played out for the enjoyment and salvation of the jivas in the material world. Wow, Krishna and Balaram. They're not only having fun, having each other's association and being the heroes. This is for you. We want to be observed. One thing about Krishna is he knows how wonderful he is. He knows he's Krishna. Krishna never forgets. I'm Krishna. I'm the most beautiful. I'm the most attractive. So he knows, with me being who and what I am, everyone will want to observe me. So he and Balaram, they perform these Herculean tasks, And they do all of these pastimes just for your gratification and for your benefit. They're complete. God is the complete whole. He doesn't need anything. We are not needed. We are wanted. Krishna and Balaram want to be observed by us for our benefit. And it increases their ecstasy to be observed. When their other parts and parcels are happy by their activities, they become really happy. You see? So we can see again and again when we get a little personal with the Supreme, we realize that personality is everything. It's all about personality. My personality, your personality. How can we lovingly interface? So it's kind of like Krishna says, Balaram, let's show them how. Let's demonstrate. These living entities came from the spiritual world and now they're caught here in this material world, which is pretty empty of close, loving relations. You see, it's bereft. So let's go show them how it's done. Radha and Krishna are showing how do you exchange love? What is the definition of the exchange of love? So we don't find that Krishna is driven by the desire to be the supreme. He doesn't have that desire. He just is. But he doesn't need everyone falling down at his feet. Krishna wants to get so close that you forget that he is Krishna, that he is God. Balaram wants to be so close with you that you forget, wow, you're an expansion of the Supreme Godhead. Because how can you have deep love when there's awe and reverence? Huh? How can you have deep love if there's fear? There's be no awe and reverence. So Krishna has no need for awe and reverence. He knows who he is. He doesn't have to prove it to himself. He doesn't have to prove it to anybody. He's just who he is. The perfect example. So sometimes I ask myself, when are you going to be who you are? We all have that loving relationship with Krishna. When are we going to return to this interrupted personal relationship that we're having with Krishna and Balaram? We've got an eternal relationship with the Supreme. When am I going to take it up again? That's my defect. But at some point, it said, I forget what was it, Brihad Bhagavatamrita. Some sage was saying that he left his body, and the next thing he knew, he awakened in Goloka Vrindavan. And he's kind of like coming out of a daze, and he's looking around, and he knows where he is. I'm back home. I'm back in Godhead. And then he turns, and here's Balaram running towards him. And Balaram comes and says, welcome. Hey, let's go see Krishna. Can you imagine when that moment happens? Balaram comes, give me your hand. Let's go see Krishna. Wow. You're back home. Not just back home in the place, but back home in the personal, loving exchanges. Right away, Balaram wants to share Krishna with you. Let's go see Krishna. What would you do? What will you do at that moment? Yeah. Are you sure we won't disturb him? Gee whiz, if I had come here alone, I would be, would you want to go knock on Krishna's door? Who is it? It's me, Krishna. I mean, have you ever thought about that? Well, how would that work? So there you are in Goloka Vrindavan, you're back home. How are you going to go find Krishna? And are you going to want to run up and say, hey Krishna, it's me, I'm home. No, Lord Balarama comes and says, hey, welcome home. Let's go see Krishna. Balarama, when he knocks on the door, he's probably got a special knock, you know. Krishna says, come in, Balarama. Bring Kirtaneshwar with you. And you're like, how did you know? Oh, Mr. Know-it-all, Mr. All-Omniscient. Come on in. Who else do you have with you? Come on, bring them in. Let's all go see Lord Chaitanya and have some real killer kirtan. So, it's all about personality. So when we come to this world and we start to realize after so many births that there may be a supreme something out there, you know, maybe it's beyond, maybe there's something beyond the universe. So we start to speculate, and our speculation will get us to the point to where God is unmanifest. I want to be one with all of this cosmic material manifestation. I want to be one with it all. And in that way I'll become one with God. Because the universe is God, isn't it? I want to become one with it. Because I want to enjoy on that level of God. You see? So we start going in the wrong direction. What's wrong with the Mayavad philosophy? It eliminates personality. You're in a world, even if you go there, if you go to the Brahmjyoti, if you're liberated into the impersonal Brahman, you're there with innumerable souls. But none of you have a form or a personality. What's the use of that? You see, we cannot taste bliss, ananda, until we factor in the personal aspect of the Supreme. When we become liberated into the impersonal Brahman, and who knows, probably many of us have. We went there, we came back because there's nobody home. I mean, there's probably lots of people here, but I can't have any personal loving interface. So, but in this material world, we have a tendency, most people that I've talked to, most religions don't really have a personality that they allow God to have. Isn't it? They haven't gone there yet. But when you get this liberation into the impersonal Brahman, you get realization of your Sat feature. I am eternal. But you don't get Chit, full of knowledge, and you don't get Ananda. Where's the bliss? How can you be blissful without love? It doesn't work like that. If you're not in love, you're not fully blissful. If you're not in love with God, you're not tasting any bliss. If you love God a little bit, even if it's just a little bit, then you can actually start to experience true bliss. And that bliss is based on love. And not conditional love. It's based on unconditional love. This whole process is based on realizing that you've rediscovered and reconnected with an eternal love. A love that's not going to flicker and go away. It's eternal, as we were talking on the way to Mexico. Both ways. Eternal means both ways. Behind, always has been, and always will be. If something starts today but will last forever, is it eternal? It started today. So no, it has not always been. It may always be, but it hasn't always been. This burning love that you share with Krishna and Balaram is eternal. You have always had it. You just misplaced it. You got covered over. You got what you wanted. You wanted to enjoy separately from Krishna. And so the universe granted your desire. You can come here and enjoy the universe all you can. You can get all the enjoyment you possibly can get out of earth, water, fire, air, and ether. And these elements combine together to form bodies. Some of these bodies are very much like our bodies. We're unaware of our eternal personality. If I'm unaware of my eternal personality, I'm unaware of your eternal personality. So I focus on me being my body and you being your body. So then I start to calculate how much can I enjoy your body or the association that your body brings. Until I get this Rajavidya, this king of knowledge, I'm never going to be able to appreciate you as an eternal living entity. If I start to deal with you as an eternal associate and not just another body, well, that changes everything, doesn't it? It's a whole different set of rules. You see? The delight of all living entities, that would include all of you, is so fantastic that these bodies have no importance whatsoever. None. The delightful entity that's driving this body is the real prize. To get to the living entity within this body. The body's gonna, someday the soul is going to leave that body and the body's gonna be claimed by the elements again, if we don't burn it first. You see, it's gonna go back to earth, water, fire, air, and ether. And just think of all the associates that we've had in all of our billions of lifetimes. Some of them, sometimes we had big brothers that were looking out for us. Sometimes we were the big brother, we were looking out. You see? But isn't it sad that we never got to know the eternal living entity that's driving those bodies? We missed the whole show, didn't we? We went to the movie. We missed the show. It was there for us. We've been a loser up until we came in contact with the holy name. It's all been wasted until you come in contact with a devotee of Krishna. Somebody gives you the holy name, and then it's Cheto Darpana Marjanam. It's like cleaning the accumulated dust off of a mirror. Things start to get clear. I will learn, if I continue this process, how to interface with these other living entities on a soul-to-soul basis. Well, that's the highest love. So all of us, we get hints. We get a demonstration on how that's going to be when we get our full consciousness back, when we get to observe Krishna and Balaram, Radha and Krishna, Krishna and the gopis. when we get to observe what do they do, what was that? Do they still say that? What would Jesus do? WWJD? They, you know, what would Krishna do? How would Krishna deal with this entity? I have someone that I need to interface with, but I don't like them. They're always nasty to me. Sometimes they stab me in the back. But they're part and parcel of Krishna. I'm thinking that I'm having difficulty loving these people is because of some false ego. I can't get to see the real person. They haven't realized that their real self. But is that an excuse? Can I use that as an excuse? If you had to tell Krishna why you didn't love somebody, what excuse would you lay on the table? And I'm talking about a good excuse. Now, we don't want Krishna to just roll his eyes. He looks at Balarama and Balaram's out. There's no excuse. So, when Krishna is being the hero and killing the demons, he's doing that out of love. I want you to have pleasure in observing me being your protector. Now, does he need that for his own ego? No, but he knows it's going to thrill you to death. And then for thousands of years, you'll read about his pastimes and Balaram's pastimes, and you'll rejoice again and again. It wasn't that Krishna needs to be, he knows he's the greatest hero. But he wants you to know it. He wants you to know. What is the real definition of a hero? Krishna, Balaram. These are the heroes. This is the supreme hero and his hero. So, any discussion? Look at this.
Shocking.
Question.
Does anyone have a question? Oh. Me?
You said this false, like if you have a hard time loving someone, it's our ego. No matter how they are. So how do we overcome our ego? Our false ego? To like actually do what Krishna wants us to do?
You got to get humble. And if you're sincere and you think, I want to get humble, but it's so hard to do that because humility doesn't have anything to do with the reason why we came here. We didn't come to the material world to be humble. You know? It's not like when you take your birth, you're looking for someone that'll teach you humility. No, come on. From birth, we've been in this frame of mind that when, and if we're going to take the group picture tonight. I use this a lot, but it explains it all. When the group picture comes to you, when you see it, who's the first person you're going to look for? Huh? You're in trouble. That is wrong. You're not over you yet. If you were a pure devotee, you'd be looking for Krishna. Where is Krishna? Oh. So I'm looking, where is the humility in that? Let me see. Oh man, I had my eyes closed. Can we take it again? You're not going to put this on Facebook, are you? Oh man. Hey, speaking of Facebook, is there any way we can have these classes put on YouTube?
Yeah, we have to start a channel and then start getting some followers.
Because the Russians are complaining.
One idea.
No Facebook in Russia. It is blocked. Why you send me these links to Facebook? I get nothing when I click.
One idea is that you could possibly use the temple YouTube, and then because it takes a while to get enough followers to start doing stuff, to live stream stuff. You have to have a certain amount of followers. It took us like months to do that. So if you use the temple, Dr. Lita, you could use the temple's YouTube, and then you could repost that YouTube onto your Facebook, like we posted onto our Facebook.
It'd make a lot of Russians kind of happy. Because they don't allow Facebook in Russia. It's blocked. So, YouTube is everywhere. Yeah.
The question I have, you mentioned that Balarama was involved in creation. Would you say more about that?
Yeah, he is, he's kind of like the energy that Krishna hands his energy off to do the work. So Krishna's got so many people that want to serve him. Krishna doesn't have anything that he has to do except stay in love. So Lord Balarama assists him in Vishnu forms. Seshanaga, he's wherever there's something happening, Balaram is somewhere behind it. He wants to serve Krishna so much. So they work together like that. So, and as Kirtaneshwar said, he's the original guru. That's why we call Lord Nityananda and Lord Chaitanya Guru and Gauranga. Lord Nityananda is the original guru. Nowhere in the Shastras, sometimes we catch a whiff of attempts by some people to minimize presence of, or the position, or it's not a position, the service that the guru performs. But that is nowhere in our Shastra. Prabhupada never played it down. Never. Not once. In almost 7,000 letters and thousands of classes and all of his books, he always made importance. So Lord Balaram is the first guru. So all gurus come from him. He's the beginning of the disciplic succession. You see? So the potency that is given to the guru when he, well, to the disciple, when he takes initiation, the empowerment is coming through that disciplic succession. It's coming all the way. Does that make any sense?
Yes, thank you.
So ultimately, when you're dealing with the spiritual master, you're dealing with Balaram. You're dealing with Lord Nityananda. And of course, you're dealing with Krishna. This is coming down through the disciplic succession. If anybody starts to create outside of Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra, well, he's bogus. He's not. That's not coming through the disciplic succession. Otherwise, we would have already had this. Why didn't Srila Bhaktisiddhanta talk about this? Why didn't any of the previous acharyas ever mention that the current gurus are not important? Why? Why is it coming now? Because it's bogus. Now that may be a nasty thing to say, but all I know is what I got from Prabhupada's books. You know, I'm not, I'm fortunate enough to know that I'm not the smartest guy in the room. I have to depend on what my guru says. It's all I've got. If he didn't say it, it didn't need to be said. Prabhupada said it all. Prabhupada said in his last days, I have said all I have to say in my books. Because different disciples were asking Prabhupada at the end, Prabhupada, what about this? When you leave, what about that? Prabhupada said, I've said it. Read my books. You don't need to go looking under rocks for something new. It's not there. I've given you everything. That everything that Prabhupada had to give came from Lord Balarama through the disciplic succession. So, did I answer?
Yes, thank you.
Did I finish answering your question?
Yeah, the
Okay.
humility. That's what we got. Thank you.
I think we're out of time, aren't we? Is it time to wrap it up, or should I?
We have a few more minutes.
Okay. So, any more questions? Yeah.
Well, you were discussing that could be a response to like rivers falling down. So could you, they give the example of the iron rod in the fire, and then it takes on the same quality of the fire. So using that example, if say somebody is properly representing the Parampara, then they're in the fire, and in that case, say someone took initiation from somebody like this, and they're proper, but then they fall down, so it can be described that it's like pulling the iron rod out of the fire, and then that person became disconnected.
Right. As long as the iron rod is in the fire, it is identical with the fire. It's like Lord Jesus Christ said, when you've seen me, you've seen the Father. Now, he wasn't saying, I'm God. If you ever want to have a really spiritually enlivening day, take a ride to Mexico and back with a priest. We were kicking this stuff back
Yeah,
in.
good time.
It was great, Yeah, so, but you take the iron out of the fire, it immediately starts to lose its potency, doesn't it? When it first comes out of the fire, it still glows and it'll still create fire if you touch it to wood. Give it a little time and that potency diminishes because it's been disconnected from the source of the potency. But as long as it's in the fire, it's identical. It's integrated. So, when the guru separates himself from his guru, by whatever, maybe he still follows the principles, goes to all the programs, he deviates from philosophy, out of the fire, starting to cool. Troubles will happen to that person. I've seen this for 50 years. I've seen it happen again and again. So, bona fide spiritual master means you are not just connected to the guru. You are sold out. I remember several years ago when I was just starting to take disciples. I was in Tennessee with Krishna Chaitra Swami. And so we had a few minutes together, and so I was asking him, because he's been a guru for a long time. Long time. He doesn't have that many disciples, but he was one of the first after the Zonal Acharya thing. Once that was replaced, he was... So I asked him, gee whiz, little brother to big brother, how strict do you think we should be on those aspiring to take initiation? I mean, should we make them wait for years? Should we make them get Bhakti Shastri first? Should we make them jump through a lot of hoops? And Krishna Chaitra Swami said, one thing we have to realize, this is coming from a pure soul, one thing we have to realize is that we're instruments of Srila Prabhupada. So if Prabhupada was real strict with us, there wouldn't be an ISKCON. none of this would be here. These temples wouldn't be here. Prabhupada didn't even give them the regulative principles until after initiation, in the first couple of initiations. What did he give them? Chant Hare Krishna, and Prabhupada showed them how to love. He loved them to the point his love was so intense it could bruise you. Chant Hare Krishna, take prasadam, accept my love. That's how Prabhupada founded this movement. And that's the only way for an intelligent man to carry on this movement. You see? So he said, look, you and I, we've already sold our souls. We sold out to Prabhupada. We don't have the future that others have. We're not going to have the future that our disciples are going to have. Because you're going to make disciples. Some of them are going to goof up. You're going to have to come back and get those who goof up. You sold your soul. That's your promise to Prabhupada. I will do everything to deliver them, and if I fail, I will come back. Not if they fail. If I fail. Even though you could say, no, they failed, but it's my failure. I'll come back to get them. Birth after birth. So when you come back to get a fallen disciple, you're going to be speaking Prabhupada's words, aren't you? You're going to make some more disciples. It's not something that you can turn on and turn off. If you speak this Krishna consciousness, people just, they hear it from you, and the process of guru and disciple takes place in the heart. You can't stop it. You can't legislate and say, well, you're not supposed to see him as your, we would think, this guy, he should be your, you can't do that. It's not possible. So everyone else is going to be back home. This is Krishna Chitra Swami. They're going to be back home. They're going to be wrestling with Krishna and Balarama. They're going to be teasing the gopis. They're going to be taking sumptuous prasadam. They're going to be having bona fide kirtan with Panchatattva. And we're going to be right here doing exactly what we're doing right this minute. And there's no way out. You sold your soul. You're not getting out of here anytime soon. So let's lighten up. Let's be lenient. Just give them love. Don't try to think, well, I don't know. I like this guy, but I don't know about it. Hey, come on. This is the game. This is, what do they call it? A job description. But it's glorious to be able to do that. To be able to serve your spiritual master eternally in doing what he wants you to do. That is liberation. And those who can do that, they have Krishna and they have Balarama. You guys are going to be having all the fun. Krishna and Balarama will be there. Otherwise, we'll crash and burn. We can't be effective without the mercy of Balaram coming through the disciplic succession. So, anything else before we roll it up?
One last comment. I should say that. A picture of Krishna and
Now, wait a
Balarama.
minute. How many believe this is the last one? He's so cute like that. Last comment.
Krishna and Balarama, when you see them in Vrindavan, you almost want to start laughing. You know they're up to something.
It's like when you go, all of you should go to Vrindavan someday. And you walk into Krishna Balaram temple, and right there in the middle altar, there's Krishna and Balaram. that picture that was there. Balaram's leaning on Krishna, and they look like the naughtiest kids you've ever seen. I mean, this Krishna's got a look on his face that's like, I'm Krishna. You know, he's just like, you can tell that he's either thinking about doing something naughty or he just did something naughty. And Balarama is trying to help cover it up. They're always naughty. You can never trust them. They're always naughty. So it's a naughty love. So, but isn't it? It's amazing when you finally get there in front of Krishna Balarama and you see them. It's just like,
It never goes away. You can never figure them out. Like Radha, Radha Shama Sundar, it's so like, it's so easy. Like with the Krishna Balaram, it's just you're wondering.
you go over to the next altar over and it's Krishna and the gopis. It's Krishna and Radha Sham Sundar, Lalita and Vishaka are there. So this is Krishna with the gopis. And then here's Krishna Balaram. And you never know what they're up to. So, all right, I think we've...